It doesn't matter how careful you are, or how well you try to clean up your tracks, because sooner or later, you're going to slip up. And it's always going to be in the most unexpected of ways. Keep doing the same things over and over, and eventually you'll catch the attention of someone who's going to follow the trail that you've left behind, put the pieces together, and sign your death warrant. This epiphany hit after looking into a pirate attack that was waged against a freighter carrying a shipment of replica glaives. The attack was more fierce than anything that I had encountered before from a Nova Rider or even a Ninetails. This assault was tactical and coordinated. It was organized violence on an entirely new scale. They weren't just fighting to take the ship. They fought as if they were afraid to come back empty-handed, like their lives depended on it. They knew exactly what was inside that ship and what it was worth. It wasn't so much a raid as it was a surgical strike. This incident had caught my attention with an intensity that bordered on the obsessive, and not just because I was the one who was there up close and personal when it happened, or because the incident had cost me my Super Hornet. It was because it represented a new threat. That there was something out there more sinister and powerful than the local pirates had ever hoped to be, and it was on the rise. I started the investigation by going back to what was left of the attackers' ships and began pulling transponders, flight recorders, the nav data from their computers, and search for registration numbers. I needed anything that could give me some insight as to who these people were and where their port of call was. Of course, all their records have been falsified. Their transponders stolen from other craft, their serial numbers were burned off, even the nav computers had been wiped clean before they set out for the raid. Their prep work was just as professional as their methods of attack. But there's some things that can't be falsified. I started with the location where they attacked the frigate, took into account the direction they traveled from, and used their ship's range and spent fuel to triangulate a list of possible ports they could be operating out of. Also, every one of the ship's parts have registration numbers. All of them. And ships need constant maintenance. One of these pieces had to have been recently replaced at some point, which means shipping information will be available on it, which also gives me a name and a location where it was sent to. I also had another lead to explore. It was gory work, but there's still bits and pieces of the pilots left behind for us to identify using DNA markers. You'd be amazed on how much information comes from even a cursory check into somebody's background. After sifting through the clues, two things had turned up that all of the ships and pilots had in common. A connection to a port called Levski and a business called Eckhart Security. I went to the nearest data hub and pulled every bit of information that I could find on them. At first it seemed that Eckhart Security was a small-time operation confined to an isolated rock known as Delamar. But soon after the 3.0 agreement was signed between the UEE military and Crusader Industries, the same agreement that formed our militia, traces of Eckhart Security started popping up all over Crusader. It turns out that they've been growing in parallel to our own organization, and everywhere we went, he started to appear as well. I also began looking into reports of black market activity that was centered in areas we had previously cleared of all pirate activity, and guess what? Each one of them showed some kind of connection that could be traced back to Eckhart Security. Granted, all this evidence is just circumstantial, but I've been at this long enough to know that a single instance of something can be written off as an isolated incident, twice may be a coincidence, but anything after that is a pattern. And so far the pattern is once we clear out a pirate nest, Miles Security moves in right afterwards to take over and begin setting up shop in that area. It seems that the local pirates previously had the surrounding systems on lockdown, keeping Miles in check. That's no longer the case thanks to us. We were doing all of the dirty work for him and didn't even know it, opening a void for him and his black market operations to fill. And to be honest, I didn't sign up to remove one monster just to have it replaced by another, more organized and more dangerous one. I did a little more digging, and it seems that his operation has been expanding so fast that Miles has started recruiting from within our own ranks, through a shell company called Blackjack Security. They've been issuing bounties on our message boards for us to eliminate certain people in specific pirate nests. If Eckhart has a problem with somebody, they end up on Blackjack's elimination list, and we carry out the sentence for him, just as we've been eliminating any pirate competition he has in just the order he wants them gone in. Eckhart's also been bolstering his own private ranks from Blackjack's list of top performers. That's my in. Since then, I've been taking every nest clearing and elimination mission I could get my hands on in an attempt to get his attention. And guess what? It's finally worked. I received an invitation for a meet and greet with Miles himself. I'm guessing so he can size me up personally and see if I have what it takes to be one of his top grade flunkies. I'm thinking that it may be a bit too conspicuous if I show up in one of the very glaives he was trying to hijack just recently, and my Hornet may never fly again. So I borrowed this ship for the time being. The pilot went on one of her famous benders and won't even notice that it's gone for at least another week or two, so I'm set there. I just have to find a safe place to stash the glaive for the time being. Eckhart wants to meet up at a bar in Levski that I'm very familiar with, and I'm kicking myself knowing full well that I've probably walked right by this guy any number of times already and didn't even know it. This is going to be my way in. Once inside, I'm going to gather every bit of information I can and tear Eckhart's operations down from the inside out. See, this is the thing that scares me the most about Eckhart. If his organization got this influential just from gaining access to a few of Crusader's moons, just imagine how powerful he'll be after we open up the ways for him to access the entirety of Hurston's resources and its moons. That's a direct pipeline to state-of-the-art weapons and a limitless supply of raw ore. He'd be unstoppable after that. So the clock's ticking, and we need to take him out before the militia extends its influence out to Hurston. Unfortunately, I'm on my own here. Having no boss means there's no one to report to, so I'm gonna have to keep recording this video log and stash it in a safe place for now. Just in case things go south for me, which they always seem to. If I'm caught, I'll look like just another ex-militia who's gone rogue. But if this works, I'll have caught the biggest threat to the Stanton system that the militia has ever encountered. This is Law of the West, signing off.